Folks, if you happen to be going through a separation or a divorce, as awful as that experience might be, we do have some peace to offer you, and that is the leadership of Zuckerman Law Group. You need somebody with experience in your corner, and you get that with Stuart Zuckerman and his group that have a combined of over 100 years of courtroom experience. Now, of course, they don't want to add to that. Litigation gets costly for both you and them, and they'd rather solve your issues, get fast, fair resolution via mediation, collaboration, arbitration. And the best way to know if this is for you is to organize your completely confidential, no obligation consultation. Go to the website, zuckermanlaw.ca, ZUK, zuckermanlaw.ca.
I'm afraid I may have to mediate in this next segment. Joining us, the co-host of Donnie and Dolly, weekdays 10 to noon on Czech television, also of The Athletic, where he pens with Thomas Dranson. Boy, did they dump the notebook today in advance of trade deadline. We'll get into all of it with our Friday regular Canucks insider, Mr. Rick Dhaliwal.
How you doing, gentlemen?
Very well. How are you?
I use the word gentleman loosely.
Oh, wow.
Coming in firing here. Well, Blake wants to take a run at you, but first and foremost, let's get into everything you guys reported because it was a terrific column. JT Miller is the Rangers' top target. Do they have any interest in Garland or Besser, or is it a Miller or bust situation for the Broadway Blue Shirts and the Canucks forwards?
Sure looks like just Miller. They just absolutely love JT Miller. And when you hear about their interest, it is at a high level. And but they're not the only team. I think 31 teams would love to have JT Miller right now, the way he's playing. And you see some of the stats last night on the broadcast. What are the Canucks? 13-101 when he scores. 1-14-01 when he doesn't get a point. He's a pretty big part of the team. Special teams can play center, the wing, the whole 9 yards. All I can say is that every team in the league would love to have this guy. He's playing unbelievable. His points per game in Vancouver, just in Vancouver, since he arrived, has been unbelievable. But yes, the Rangers, there is no question. He is the guy at the top of their list that they would love. But like I've been saying here for a while, and I think I said it with you guys last week too, I don't think the Canucks want to move him. I don't think the Canucks have any heart and desire to move him right now. And just to see what the agent said today, that they're willing to talk extension July 1st with the Vancouver Canucks and JT Miller. It speaks volumes of, I think that, it would take, let's put it this way. It would take one hell of an offer to pry him out of Vancouver.
Reading between the lines on your column, Ricky, it sounds to me like if the Rangers are going to make Alexei Lafreniere, Keandre Miller, or Braden Schneider available, that, maybe that's what Rutherford is holding out for. Do you have any sense whether, it's those three guys or bust? Do you have any sense whether Lundqvist and some of the other prospects from the Rangers, if that's the offer closer to the deadline, whether the Canucks would settle for something like that?
Just heard that the Rangers are, probably, okay, we got 17 days to go. You show your best, most desperate hand right at the end. As was told to me, the last 48 hours are, do they come to the Canucks at the last 48 hours and they're still in that desperate mode to get this player, and then they throw in these names that you're talking about that are pretty big, including, Lafreniere. I don't think he's in there right now, but I would say to you, caution the wind. Still 17 days to go. The best offer the New York Rangers are going to make for JT Miller is not today or tomorrow or Sunday. It's going to be at the very end. And I got to give Alvin and Rutherford credit. They've said this from day one. I've said this on your show. They're being patient. They're still evaluating the team top to bottom. And their patience is telling you something, guys. We're not giving this guy up until we get one heck of a deal, a Grand Slam or more. And it's basically they're giving you hints on what they're going to do. It's going to take a heck of an offer for them to say, okay.
I think people that aren't on board with this trade, and hey, it's tough for anybody to make this trade because he's just been everything for this team this season and in others too, going back to his first season with the Vancouver Canucks. But I think a big problem right now, optically, for a lot of fans, is that if you go to HockeyDB or favorite stat site, he says he's 28 years old. Because right now, he actually is just 28 years old. But he's 29 in 2 weeks, and he's a free agent at 30. And, if his birthday at HockeyDB said 30 years old, I think you got a lot more people on board. But the fact that his birthday reads 28 right now, I think is messing with people and what they should be doing about it.
It's not an optical illusion, but it has the same effect.
Yes.
But Blake, do we have a guideline in a book that says this is the date that a player turns into not a difference maker anymore? Look how many guys over 30 are doing well in the NHL this year. Every player is different. Every player has peaks and valleys at different ages. But I always come back to this. Do we really know when JT Miller is going to slide as a player? Is it at 32, 33, 34, 35? I don't think you make
educated guesses. You make educated guesses based on empirical evidence, right? And that tells you that you got to be worried past the age of 33.
Yeah, okay, but the Sedin twins, did anybody predict at 28, 29 how long they were going to go? Oh, don't sign them after 30. Don't sign them after 32, 33. It's very hard to do, and I understand the people that say, "Oh, he's after 30, he's not going to be effective." But you have no book that says that you have evidence that his decline is going to start at 32. His decline might start at 35. Who knows?
Just before we leave JT Miller, can I get on record applauding his agent Brian Bartlett, who says to Drance and Dhaliwal, and I quote, "There's no concern from our end. It's a media market that likes to talk hockey. There's always going to be speculation about a team that, quite frankly, is not going to win the Stanley Cup this season, and over a player who has no trade protection and a player who all 31 teams would like to have. We're not losing sleep over all the rumors and all the trade talk in Vancouver." He went on to say, "Hey, JT sometimes asks me what's real and what's fabricated based on what he's hearing," and then they have a chuckle about it.
Well, he also went on to say
how about that? Pros dealing with this season in a pro manner, unlike some agents.
To me, my favorite quote from that was him actually, and generally they like to be very vague in general. He went on to say, we're not eligible to talk extension in the summer, but I would be very surprised if we don't have those discussions when summer comes. It was very strong that they are focused on the Vancouver Canucks both now in this contract and in the next contract.
That's it. And I told both of you last week that you guys asked about Miller, and I have no indication this player doesn't like it in Vancouver. I have no indication he's not going to re-sign. I've never had indication that this player is visibly upset about, yes, he's going to be a UFA in a year and a half, and yes, he's from outside the Pittsburgh area, and yes, probably people are saying he probably want to go home and sign with the Penguins. Who knows? And we don't know that. But every indication I've had over the past, since he arrived in this city, is not leading me to believe. And when the agent now says, yeah, you know what, July 1st comes, we'll listen, we'll talk about an extension, that's big to me. That was big to me when the agent said that.
Unlike some other agents and what they're messaging these days about
what's Price's problem?
Okay, this has been built up to WrestleMania 6000, and
it's Warrior versus Hogan at the Sky Dome.
My whole thing is, and for those that missed it, Dhaliwal was reporting that one or two agents were ripping the market again, saying how Canucks Twitter is so big and bad. Mm-hmm. Dolly, when they tell you that, you don't have to say that. You don't have to bring that part forward. That's just poisoning the well. That's self-fulfilling prophecy the minute you do that.
Okay, but hold it. Kevin Epp came on Donnie and Dolly. What did he say? The same thing. Do you see a pattern? Do you see a pattern? And this is going back, and I'm glad you asked that, because I'm going to tell you something, Blake. Go back to Gabranson, Pouliot, and Del Zotto. I'm going to tell you something right now.
Three horrific signings.
I was going to say.
Three horrific
hold it.
No, guys who can actually play in this league a little better.
No, stop. I'm going to give you an example. If you want to criticize a player for what's happening on the ice, go right ahead. And everybody on Canucks Twitter can do it. But when you get personal, and when you get talking about their families and stuff like that, that's where agents tend to get pissed off. And you know what? You want to criticize my player for not being good? Go ahead. Media, fans, the whole 9 yards. When it gets personal, and in the case of Goodbranson and Pouliot and Delzato, there was some of that stuff. And that's where there's that fine line. Look, guys, 30 years ago, we didn't have this thing called Twitter, where everyone's got a voice and hides behind fake names and pounds away on the keyboard and all that stuff. It's hard. Everyone's got a cell phone. It's not hard to see everything now. Criticize. I don't think the agents have an issue with criticizing the player. If the player is underperforming, Louis Eriksson spent 5 years in this town. He underperformed, and I think it's safe to say he heard about it. But when you get into the personal stuff, and when you sometimes delve into the family stuff, and the agents had a big kick out of the banner that was flown. Like, not every NHL city is flying banners about flying. You get a bit of a reputation when you do stuff like that as well.
I hear you
so
loud.
When you tie all that stuff.
Go ahead, finish.
Yeah,
the banner is wins and losses though. The banner's not personal.
So what I'll say is you're absolutely right when it gets into families. That's crossing the line. Kevin Epp went further though and said guys don't want to be here because of it, which I really don't believe. And as for the banner, well, yeah, it is a ferocious Canadian hockey market that has never won a Stanley Cup. People are thirsty for winning here, Ricky. And yes, they apply pressure on the hockey team, its ownership, management, and players to be the best they can because they would like to win.
I'm clearly not going deep enough down the rabbit hole on Twitter because I don't remember a single personal thing about Goodbranson and Delzato.
We got so many good topics to talk about here, though. Can we just move on?
Let me get one final.
Finish up.
One final thing. So in 2011, Twitter had just started. It was a really good space. Canucks were winning.
It was a really good space. Really good.
No, but just hold on. Canucks Twitter isn't going to be like this forever. When this team turns the corner and starts winning on a consistent basis, the media and Canucks Twitter is going to turn. It's going to be positive. It's going to be good times. But unfortunately, this team has been in a horrible rut for a lot of years. A lot of it is self-induced, and you guys know that. And you know what? It is what the market is bearing. It's been a non-playoff team for a lot of years. That's why you see
it is amazing how winning diffuses some of the negativity around. As Patterson says all the time, we work with the material provided by the club, and they've provided us shitty material for the better part of a decade. Okay, let's move on. No talks or very limited talks with the agents for Besser and Tyler Motte. Ricky, is that the clue that those are the guys that they're going to trade?
I believe there was minor talks with Besser's camp this week. Nothing major though. Tyler Motte, I can tell you since last night, there hasn't been any talks with Tyler Motte's agent at all. Rich Evans, I can tell you that. Besser. It's going to come down to look. I don't think they want to qualify him at 7.5. Can you do a new deal? That's going to come down to that. Tyler Motte's interesting. No talks. I think he's going to ask for over $2 million, and he's put himself in a position to do that. And UFA status around the corner for him. Hey, look, if the Canucks aren't comfortable going over 2 or maybe even 2.5, 2.6, you look at Jason Dickinson, and then they're going to have to move him. Bottom line, Halak is the other one. Everyone talks about. John Shannon came on our show and said he's willing to waive. I looked into that last night. I have no indication he's going to waive as of last night. Maybe that changes. I don't know. But I've been saying from day one, and my intel last night again said it was told in no uncertain terms that that's not the right info. So Halak is there. I do know the Canucks, if they do move Halak, they are ready to bring in Spencer Martin right away to be the backup. That would mean two things for me. Halak, if there's a Halak trade, he waives, and the Canucks aren't getting a goalie. They need Halak and Motte to give them cap relief. The whole thing is about cap relief. The Rutherford and Alvin are looking for cap relief. How they get that is going to be through guys like Motte, who's a UFA, and Halak. But again, my information last night is it didn't certainly lead me to believe that Halak, as of last night, is willing.
Some chatter about a Motte extension, 4 years at 2.5. That seems pretty.
No, there isn't any chatter. If I'm telling you there hasn't been any talks with the agent, how can there be chatter?
Okay. I stand corrected, Rick.
But I don't get that, Blake. Chatter is if the two sides talk and hear the numbers. I think what you're talking about was somebody saying, here's what a Motte contract could
I
look
believe
like.
that
and
is
it's exactly what.
Yeah, you're right, Rick. It's Saravelli and what he thought the parameters were. Rink White is polling it right now at Rink White.
That's
Podcast.
it. Yeah, and Frank didn't say there's two sides of talking. Frank's bang on with the numbers, by the way. I've been saying that for a long time. It's going to be in the 2.5, 2.6 range. And Motte, he's put himself. Go look at last night's game. Last 7 minutes. Who played 3.5 minutes of the last 7? Tyler Motte. Protect.
That's it.
If there's been no chatter, how do you know that the numbers are right? How would you know?
None of your business how I know.
Oh!
I'm telling you, none of your business. I'm telling you that I'm telling you, I know it won't take a penny under. It's none of your business.
Ricky,
right now,
careful.
It sounds like there's been some chatter. I think that means chatter.
Hey, hold it a second. I just finished telling you, and I said on Donnie and Dolly this morning, as of last night, and I said the same thing as Wednesday, they have not talked. Have they touched base? Probably. And said, hey, how are you doing? No, they've touched base with every agent out in Rutherford. My God. Price, do you work? Hey, Price, do you work for the National Enquirer?
I need to get a dictionary for player agents, because clearly they work outside of the English language that I know, in that when you talk to somebody, it's a chat.
No, he's saying what would a Motte contract look like, and that's what I've been saying. It's going to look like over $2 million. Have the Canucks crunched numbers with Motte? Not yet. Is that going to take place? Probably soon.
Okay, moving along, because there was some.
You want to leave this?
Okay. Juicy, yeah. Well, he certainly puts you in your place.
Oh yeah.
For the 40th time,
Jacob Chychrun and former Vancouver Giant Pride Cranbrook, Bowen Byram. Canucks have made inquiries on those two young defensemen, or at least checked in on them. Ricky, I want to make sure I get the right phrase.
Is it a check-in or is it a chat? Yeah, we need to know.
Yeah.
How would you characterize the Canucks' interest in those two young defensemen?
Chychrun, they called on Chychrun to check the price. The price was too high. They backed off. I said this a couple of times last week. They are looking for a young stud defenseman. The feeling is if you're going to call for a Miller-type guy, we're going to ask for young stud defensemen like Bowen Byram. And they've always liked Bowen Byram. How can you not? He's in their backyard. He played junior hockey in Langley. He's a wonderful defenseman. He's coming off concussion issues this year. It's funny, the concussion that put him out was in a home game against the Canucks this year. But you know what? Their goal is in the next year and a half to land another stud defenseman like Quinn Hughes, and they need to get younger on the blue line. I think we all know that. But yeah, they checked in on Chychrun, and price was too high, and they basically said, see you later. You can't do it.
I think there was one other topic I wanted to hit. Oh, there's just no chance there's a market for Dickinson or Hamonic, huh? No way?
No way. If people of Vancouver and the Canucks are trying to get rid of those contracts, don't you know the rest of the hockey world knows? You know, I mean, they're very tough to move.
Both signed last summer, too. Like, God, well, right to the bitter end, you look bad contracts.
Hey, hold it a second. You look at the dead money, Halak, Holtby, Virtanen, then you look at Pearson and Dickinson. Those are the five that I think people are saying, you know, if you could ever get rid of those. But it's if you know that Dickinson's underperforming and he's struggling and he's having a tough time, so you think there's going to be a ton of interest?
Did we talk Myers yet? Did we ask about Myers yet?
No. He wasn't in the call.
I haven't heard anything. I gotta be honest with you. I haven't heard anything on Myers.
Okay, my friend. Well done.
Yeah. Can I say that I've had a chat with you? Like, would this qualify as a chat?
Quit trying to put words in my mouth, Price.
I don't think anybody needs to put words in your mouth. There's enough coming out.
Yeah, I'm like Drance. Drance never shuts up. I told him last night on the phone. He came on our show. I said, he gives answers. He just loves hearing his voice. 5 minutes long. I said, our segment's only 10 minutes. We only get 2 questions in. Yeah, and so I told him last night, I'm going to put you on a clock. And he just, I think he just likes hearing his voice.
I'm just glad you're out here putting everybody in their place, Rick. I mean, you are setting Vancouver media straight.
You know what? You know what would slow down Drance? Send him some bananas. Send him some bananas. He eats a couple of bananas before he comes on. There's no way he can go 5 minutes.
Ricky, thank you for this.
Coming at me hard. All right. Have a good weekend. Talk later.